Now I will take 5 more minutes. We would like to announce the soft launch of this MtlexsSpot with the dignitaries who are present here. So I would request Mr. Monir sir to come on platform as one of our reputed suppliers. Mr. Anshul Gupta from PanGulf also as one of our reputed suppliers. And members, Mr. Bhadresh Patak from Yes Bank, Mr. Sandeep ji from Aditya Birla, Mr. L.S. Subramaniam, our advisor, Mr. Shailesh Chitre from NEML, Mr. Sohail Motiwala from MetAsia. What we are trying to say here is that we've got a very good team. We have the bankers with us. Of course, bank. It is not that the moment MtlexsSpot says the bank will fund. No, banks will have their own discretionary methods to sanction any funding to buyers or suppliers and things like that. We have some of the reputed suppliers that we would like to start with so that the trades are ensured to be executed properly. Now, I would request if any of them want to say something on the platform, and maybe Monir sir would like to say something. Mike.
Good morning, everybody. We were following up with Mr. Mardia on this platform, and we were putting some regulations on trying to build up these regulations to have it kind of protection for the both sides, the supplier, buyer, and the entity of the MtlexsSpot, as this is not a regular concept in our business to have online trade for the metal scrap. Normally it is going one-to-one on the phone, and in some cases it is hardly successfully done, and that is one part. The other part is the execution of that. It is another challenge. Of course, when there is a good relations between supplier and buyer, and there is a previous record, that goes like a water flow. But when it is new, it is going slow. Now, you're dealing with a computer. You don't see the supplier. You don't see the buyer. So the confidence has to be built gradually. And if we talk about the starting, how to start buying and selling on this, Mardia Sabi gave me the opportunity to start on this platform. And as in Sharif Metals, I would be honored also to start the offering my material on that platform. And of course, leading has to have a spark or ignition. And we have to support the Metlex, of course, because the intention to bring up the market into B2B level, it is a new concept, as we said, but it is also a world of technology nowadays. Most of the trade is gone like online. If you see the eBay, or if you see the Alibaba and so many other platforms for trade, and it went from small, tiny products, and it went to huge products, and it went also bigger to a real estate, towers and buildings and factories. Of course, inspection has to be made, the mutual terms and conditions has to be assigned, and a third party like a regulatory has to be also governing all this performance. Now, if we talk about selling and buying, we today and yesterday and a few days back, we were talking about the risk of what if. There are so many what if could happen. And with the follow-up from our side on Sharif Metals and from our side as an arbitration committee in the BMR, and with the Metlex, of course, with their experience and our team experience, we will try to make it full satisfactorily for both parties. But the ignition has to start. And this is what we are doing today, starting the MtlexsSpot, and hopefully it will be a good numbers of volume. We can talk about it next year. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, we are here maybe to answer or support or clarify or take into consideration to make it a case for study. Thank you.
Just one thing I would like to say. Monir Saab said that we will not know the seller or the buyer. So we will definitely know the seller name. Whoever is the initiator, his name would be known on the platform. So along with the name, he can also put up the photographs of the product that he is going to sell. As a buyer, if a buyer initiates, his name also would be known. That is just an additional information. I would request if anybody else wants to say something. I mean, the bankers are going to have a speech after this. So, Anshulji would like to say something?
See, I think this is a very dynamic change to a very old non-ferrous trading platform. When I met Mr. Madia maybe a year ago, and he had started the information portal, and then the next step he was wondering, and that's where I stepped in to help him to get this off. And I think for a trading platform, B2B of complexity, for given that the number of metals, the grades, and whatever you all traditionally trade, I think now you're going to get a global standard unified platform to buy and sell. And when we designed this, we have put all the risks to make sure that you're risk-free when you buy from the portal. One, of course, we have got leading banks like Aditya Birla Finance, Yes Bank, plus there are other bankers also. We have got, I think, the number one commodity exchange in India today to back this up in CDX in terms of technology, as a technology partner, through their subsidiary NEML. Right? Now, only piece missing in this, like the earlier speaker mentioned, is that you have to start putting those trades and start believing in MTLX. And it is done for the industry, and I don't think for anything else. And the nobler cause is today on your fingertips as the younger generation takes over your business. I think they're used to all these devices. And as you know, most of them live off the mobile. And this trading platform will also be available on your mobile. Thank you.
So on behalf of NCDX e-markets, I would actually thank Madia ji and his team for taking this bold step. I know all of you today, right from morning till midnight, haven't been touched by an online transaction. Whether it is your personal movement, whether it is your buying, whether it is your shopping, I'm 100% sure all of you are touching online transaction at least once or twice in a day. There's nobody who has been left away from this. So why don't you start looking at that in your profession also? I can assure you one thing from NEML, that we will give you the best of the industry practices when it comes to risk management, when it comes to trade settlement, when it comes to discovering a fair price in the entire business, and a wider market participation is what we will assure you. With all our experience of the past 8 years, today we do transactions worth close to around 30,000 crores on an annual basis. With that much of experience, with 9 to 10 clearing banks in place, you have an entire gamut. I can say that the entire ecosystem is in place. We would request you and we would like you to join in large numbers and make it a success. End of the day, all of you will see that you have benefited out of it. We have seen to it that no participant in the existing market is eliminated by the advancement onto online system. Every player, every entity who has a role to play has a space in this new marketplace, and all of you would be much more empowered to exploit the marketplace in a far better and transparent manner. Wishing you the entire trade best of luck. Thanks, Etan.
We were talking, the point we were talking about in the last 2 days. Post the deal, once the deal has been concluded between the buyer of the seller, I am a seller, I posted material online and buyer X, okay, there was a deal. Then what will happen after that? Okay, we are used to the traditional way of doing the business, mainly through indenters, and the indenter will follow up. If there is an advance payment, the advance payment will come, and then we'll proceed with the shipment. If there is any later on any issues on the shipment, any delay on the shipment, payments, so many questions needs to be clarified. I think this was a very brief, short launching without any details, how we, as a supplier, how I am satisfied, how I make sure that I am getting my money. And from the other side, on the buyer side, how he is sure that he will get his material as per the contract.
Yeah, we had also a discussion with Mr. Mardia about this point. There is 2 levels of security. One, that any recommended or invited buyer, he has to put a deposit or a kind of bond in the MtlexSpot. It will be under the custody of MtlexSpot. It is from 2 to 3%. It could be higher, it could be lower, depends on the volume and the price. So that 3% can be kind of deposit security for the seller in case if the buyer did not complete the cycle of the purchase. The second level, I will explain the first one. The second level is the deposit between the buyer and supplier. That buyer has to deposit in the supplier's account about 15 or 20% of the contracted value. The third level is the terms and conditions mentioned in the contract and governed by the body of BMR or the other association if it is a different level. Explaining the first one, the 3%, buyer has to be eligible, or buyer will be eligible to be a member only if he deposits that amount into the MtlexSpot under the custody of them, to later on see if the buyer has performed well, then it is the property of the buyer. If not, it will be freezed, and then we are setting up an arbitration standards and committee to assess and to evaluate who is the defaulter and who is the good performer. And that can be also elaborated later on how to be a good performer and how to avoid being a bad performer. The second point, as the deposit, once the deposit being received by the shipper, then you can ship the cargo on a bank terms, bank routes, and then after you submit your documents to the bank, you have already a security of 15%. The rest will come through the bank. Yes, please.
Through Twitter and through booking online, you get service immediately and you are satisfied. Actually, Sunil, you were mentioning sometimes we get containers contain bricks, and then there are elements of over-invoicing, under-invoicing, quality certification, and many other issues. So what kind of measures, safeguards you have for protecting the interest of the consumer and also on the financial elements?
I would first like to say that whatever we are doing now is replicating the normal business practices. And we are translating the whole business onto an e-platform. If you're giving credit to somebody because he's a known friend of yours, then we can do that. But if you don't want to do that, whatever is your business practices, right from defining a contract to the payment terms, to the quality certification or the inspection. If the buyer says that he wants pre-inspection, we can allow him a pre-inspection. We will have inspection agencies online, Bureau Veritas and one more company would be available online. The buyers or sellers can choose their services. Most of the time, the suppliers have their own certificates, own warehouses. What I'm trying to say is that we will only be replicating your business practices. The way you are doing your business now, we will do the same thing on a platform. We will translate all your statements, whether it is 1 page, 100 pages, your quality parameters, your terms and conditions, inspection clauses by the... If there is a big buyer, we have met somebody, he said that I buy tons every month. So he can put in his own terms. If he said that I want 500 tons of aluminum ingots ADC 12, whatever, or honey 500 tons a month. So he will put in his own terms that, okay, I want this quality from this origin at so and so prices. Then there can be negotiations. The price negotiation is, as we say, is the simplest part. It could be done either in the auction terms or in the continuous market. But all the other terms, parameters and other things would all be translated from your existing business.
Sunil, thank you. Can we hear from Sharif Brothers? How do they ensure this kind of practice is not taking place in Dubai, or even Anshul can tell? What are the safeguards you do from the buyer, seller, and how do you do in Dubai? Sunil has of course told us. What do you do in Dubai?
So now, earlier, it's not earlier, presently, we have very simple thing. We know the buyers very well. We do the KYC. we don't sell even a single kilo without doing the KYC of the buyers. And we recommend the same thing to the buyers. They should also do the KYC of all the suppliers. And that's a real market finding mechanism we should develop. Like all the bankers have this KYC method. It's just not for the namesake KYC, but it really helps you. You know the promoters. You should know the capital of the company, whom we are dealing with, their market reputation and everything. And the trade is very simple. In fact, I think the KYC method will maybe shrink the market a little bit, but it will really help in maturing the market and reducing all these problems which are coming up. And I think it has been ironed out to a certain level already with this KYC method.
For example, if we have a new buyer who would like to buy material, normally we have to open a file in our system for the company. We require to have the trade license copy. We require to have the signatory power with whom, and are we dealing with authorized person or not, and if this company is valid or not, and we do a certain investigation through banks level or through friends or through other ways. So if we go on that platform, this will be the application filling will be including those parts of opening an account in online. Am I right, Mardi Saab? So in this part, even you can put a bank's recommendation that we, certain banks, you may get that the recommendation that you can deal with this company on a certain level or up to a certain amount or up to certain capacity. So that it will be available online. And whoever doesn't have that type of documentation or paperwork, he prefers to buy locally, that is not eligible to be online. So the people who are commonly aware about the international trade, they will be only available on that stage. The rest, local buyer or local will not be at that stage.
I would request our friend Mr. Sanjay Mishra to come up and say a few words about this. He has been involved with the platform and I would request him.
Morning to everybody. I think very valid question. First of all, let us be very clear. It is one of the way to trade in market. Like it's not replacing any existing system or doing away with many traditional things. It is one of the way which is coming into the market, where I will answer 3-4 questions by telling which has many questions were here. Like Mr. Monir said, the both counterparties will be KYC'd like anything, which as per very standard practice. And another level of KYC, which I keep telling people, will be the forensic KYC, which will have a track record of people who are going to trade on this platform, how they behaved in the worst situation in the market. And there will be a panel who will be advising that, okay, this has been historical, behavior of this particular buyer or supplier, So when people go in this platform to trade, nothing is 100% in this world, but still I'll say 99%, they will be very, very, deeply and diligently KYC'd. Then only they come and trade on this platform. That's number one. This is the price discovery was the word somebody used. It's a price discovery will be one of the things through this platform. If people keep bidding, you come to know, okay, this is the price for tens, 5% attachment, so and so. This is the price for honey, so much so origin. Means supplier has to fill all the, columns, and maybe he can put some remarks also, talking about the quality in the system. And buyer who is going to buy, he knows what he wants to buy. So accordingly, he can bid. And the best part is that you can send the location where this material will be shipped from, the location, not origin. Origin may be somewhere and location may be somewhere sometime. So it will improve over a period of time, and transparency in dealing. And I can tell you that Mr. Nasir just said that just follow up. This platform will be supporting you inside out about the payment and everything. But one thing which should be, I think MtlexSpot must be doing is, once contractual terms are frozen, then e-platform is black and white, right? Then there will be a panel selected by you guys only, probably 10-15 people on the arbitration panel or quality panel or something like that. Then you can, both the people can go there and settle their issues. Okay, I want to give him some more time for payment. I want to give him some, more time for something like that. But once contract is entered, it is black and white for that platform. Right? Means it's not like talking on the phone and, settling out of the platform. Platform will be completely standing with buyer or seller in the way of contract being honored in letter in spirit. And all subjectivity can be discussed outside. That's always there in any business. For example.
Got a question here. Will this be like introducing the buyers that you are aware of that they're dealing in these commodities within your network, or you will need the database of the supplier to upload their customer base on your platform so that because if I'm dealing with a known buyer, maybe known to you, maybe not, would I have to disclose all my buyers on your platform so that they'll be eligible to trade? And how will that protect my own business? Okay, otherwise it becomes such an open book. I don't see how that may help some of the businesses. The other question is, would it cover only the Indian market customer base or overseas market as well?
First, I would like to ask you a question. And I mean, when suppose you're supplying some goods to me as Ashloni Copper, would you tell me who are your other buyers as a normal business practice?
No.
That is what we are doing, sir. Whatever is your normal business practice, we are only simply translating that onto an e-marketplace. So we will not ask you to give you any of your databases, any of your buyers. But as an additional facility, we can make a virtual private network for you. In case you want to have a competition amongst your own buyers, suppose there are 10 buyers, 15 buyers, and you've got some products, you are one of the biggest suppliers, you do about 20, 30,000 tons of non-ferrous metals per month. You can assign one product, one location, something like that, exclusively to us. And then you can also say that, okay, these are my 15 companies who are my buyers. And we can run that virtual private network amongst your own buyers, which will be confidential only to you. Even these 15 buyers will not know each other's names. So that is the high end of the technology that we have got. Am I right, Shailesh?
But
that is the kind of technology that, so that is one thing. And so first, the question is answered that we will not seek any of your database. This virtual private network is an additional facility if at all you want to avail of.
But then the buyers that I would like you to work with, who are some of my buyers, they also need to log into your database so they'll be trading online as well.
Yes.
And that is a question whether they're geared up for that technology or they're not in the mood for it. So I may end up in getting, say, 10%, 20% of the feedback, while the other potential buyers may still not have come on your platform. So I have to simultaneously do it in a conventional base, will not be like holding me up, and in the meantime, a little bit of streamlining it will be required.
Of course, with time we will learn and we will include all these features, but there is no technology required at the user's end or even at the seller's end. You don't need high-end technology, high-end software or high-end ERP packages. Maybe Shailesh, you would like to speak.
So actually you touch a very valid point. Okay. What we have seen over a period of time when we worked in different markets is that a typical big time buyer would like to see all his suppliers are onboarded. That's where he starts getting confidence. So if you tell us that these are my 15 suppliers, will you kindly onboard them? We will onboard all the 15 of them. Okay. Apart from that, all the open market suppliers who are there, we will onboard all of them also. It is a step-by-step process. Overnight things will not happen. We will have lots of these interactions which will continue to happen. And I can tell you what we have seen in different sectors, different methods have evolved over a period of time. Okay? There are sectors where there is only a manufacturer. There are sectors where the ecosystem of manufacturers and your middlemen who work with that. So we have always tried to incorporate everybody in that marketplace and move it along. Rightly said, I again tell that this is a valid thing. If you say that these are my set of 10 people or preferred suppliers, you kindly onboard them, we'll pick them. And as he was saying, we could also do a exclusive price discovery just for your set of people, then you would know exactly what is happening around over there.
So there is no chance that if I upload my customer base and supplier base as Sharif Metals, and here comes a new amateur who wants to join the business, and he comes on your platform, and he gets to know all the information because you want to give him service as well,
No,
and then he becomes my competitor.
Okay.
once
First
again-
and foremost, one thing.
Excuse me.
There won't be anything called amateur coming in. There are strong set of KYC norms which everybody will have to fulfill over there.
Excuse me, but I cannot open or upload my buyer or supplier's data. That is the answer we have to give.
Yes, we cannot.
The buyer himself or my supplier himself, if he likes to open an account, then he can go on himself to apply it.
See, this will be a closed platform. No amateur can come in.
Exactly.
There is a process of registering, process of getting a banker in, process of deposits with us. Only then you can even look at the prices. It is not open to all. Okay, so this is a closed user group, and it's exclusively only for those who want to trade on non-ferrous metal, either a buyer or seller.
And nobody can scroll down and select buyers or
The
suppliers.
system
Okay.
is not open for all.
I go down the trend now and I upload everything I want to negotiate. So there is $1,000 and $1,500 is the value. And then there is a negotiation in the conventional way that it takes place, right?
Subject to
How
final
will that
confirmation.
negotiation takes place on the platform and how lengthy that procedure is? By the time you're watching the LME and it's fluctuating up and down, you want to take a flick of a second decision to lock the deal and move your cargo. So how will the platform serve that purpose if that is going through the electronic methodology of the platform? Do you think that is doable? I can understand. I'm doing the futures markets and the hedging. That is a simple thing because we
Salam
know.
Sahib, it is subject to final confirmation. But it is subject to final confirmation.
That's okay. But
If confirmed, it's done. Then the 3% is freezed.
yes,
if not
that-
confirmed,
yeah.
you are free to sell to anywhere.
Right. That buyer who is trading in that platform, he will be entitled to trade only after that earnest deposit.
He cannot be approved
Yeah.
online without paying the 3%.
Yeah, of course. That's what the key is. And for example, as Mr. Salam says, that things are fluctuating, right? And there may be two kind of trade. One is the LME linked, so their fluctuation doesn't matter much. When it is the fixed price basis, the 3% fluctuation in fraction of thing, as
That's
he
okay.
rightly says,
That's okay.
it can be taken
Another
care of.
another option can be traded in, like an auction, which we have to set it up
Yeah.
with Mardia Saab.
Yeah, yeah.
That auction has two levels. One level of a price auction, like I put a target price. If anybody reaches to that level, is fine. If not, I may compromise. The other level is a time auction. Once the material is lodged in the website with a price and a time limit, or without a price, only a time limit, it has to be sold if the time is over at the highest bidder.
I'm rather trying to visualize for myself and the audience as well how practicality that is. And I am keen to really learn more about it, and perhaps I'll be the first one to go on board. But I'm just trying to visualize. Now, this is good enough to click the business, right? Once you want to get the contract in place, and usually we go into signing it and study terms and conditions, will you have a standard core format of contracts that it is across the board valid for everybody? Or there'll be case-to-case contractual terms and conditions tailor-made for everybody?
Broadly, I'll just take you briefly to two things. One is that the seller side, the other is the buyer side. Today, Mardia is the seller. He manufactures 5 grades of ingots, aluminum. He has the specifications A, B, C, D, and E. When he defines a contract, he gives all the technical specifications of the contract completely in detail, and they're displayed it out. So, hypothetically, I'm saying today morning, 12 o'clock, Mardia has said that he wants to sell 5,000 MT of A grade of his particular product. And he's saying he's putting it in the continuous market. Total quantity available, say 5,000 MT or 10,000 MT. That's on the seller side. On the buyer side, what has happened is that you have set of 20, 30, 40 buyers. All these buyers are part and parcel of MTLX, so they are members of MTLX. But that doesn't allow them access to this particular auction. On the day when there is this particular contract is available, each of these guys, depending upon their intent to buy, if my intent is to buy only 100 MT, I will deposit 2% of the expected amount of that and I will get access to the floor. That's where you get into the auction floor. So out of 40, 5 buyers, 10 buyers have deposited the money, deposited maybe 10 minutes prior to the exchange, to the start of the auction. All of them start participating. So 10 of the bids start coming to the material which is out over there. Each of them start bidding for how much quantity they want and at what price point they want to do it. You will have various auctions types. So you have forward auctions, you have reverse auctions, you have Yankee auctions, you have English forward auctions. So depending upon your product, all these things can be configured. Okay? After you have done the limits and once it is knocked down, only the guys who are the winners, their deposits would be kept. The rest of the monies would be returned back immediately.
I'm going now to the process of getting contract so that we study terms and conditions, and we need to get it electronically signed, right? So that what you mentioned now is prior to contract conclusion. I'm not referring to that.
Actually, we spoke with Mr. Mardia today morning, and we will set up a common contract.
Oh, that's my reply. So it will be a common contract, standardized or tailor-made to each and every supplier and buyer, which is the option.
Yeah, it would be in addition. There would be standard terms of trade, and if there is anything more to be added by the supplier, he says no. Apart from this, see, you want to sell something at 10% deposit and 90% payment through bank, but Anshulji wants to say I want 20% deposit and 80% is through bank. So you can override some of these conditions. The normal, the standard regulatory conditions like quality parameters and payment terms cannot be altered, but some of the parameters or some of the features can be altered depending upon your prerogative or depending upon your business practices.
So even negotiation terms and conditions of the contracts will be on the platform as well.
Yes.
Until that is done,
Yes,
I would expect it to be timely and within our time limits of usually
I
how
think
contract is done.
We are not running short of time, but I would request now that
Got
we
it.
have the live demo first.
Thank you.
And then that will make a little bit more understanding,
Got it.
because I think this is a very new concept, completely different. So I know you will have hundreds of questions. So I would request if everybody can just...
Before that, one technical point, Anshul Saab brought it up. Between a confirmation and acceptance of the confirmation, there could be a few minutes or few part of hour. A buyer confirmed the price, supplier did not respond to the confirmation. Maybe half an hour, 1 hour, and market has fluctuated in between. What is the catch in here? If the buyer says, I have already confirmed, and the supplier did not reconfirm, or the opposite, supplier got a price and he said, okay, I accept your bid to the buyer, and buyer disappeared. So that catch, maybe he can explain it more, and that we can find a solution to it.
Maybe let's go to the presentation, and this validity thing should be clarified when we have the presentation, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I think we'll just stand up and launch and have a photo this.